What's going on, fight fans? It's your host, Sebastian, and I told you so. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the Boxing Tip, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed their Saturday night of boxing. I know I did. It was a good card. Some pretty dramatic ending there, but I'll talk to you guys about that on another video. Let me go ahead and congratulate Oleksandr Usyk for defending his WBO cruiserweight title against Thabiso Mchunu with a 9th round stoppage. And the reason why I said I told you so, kind of jokingly, guys, is on my breakdown prediction video, I pretty much told you guys what would happen. Oleksandr Usyk, and it's not just Oleksandr Usyk, it's this thing that's going on with these Ukrainian fighters that I'm starting to really see a pattern in. They get in there with these fighters, and it might not happen right away, but they always figure them out. And lately, something about their opponents and what they're doing to them, they are making these fighters quit. Thabiso, yeah, he got hurt with some shots, and I know Oleksandr Usyk does have some pop in his punches, but he went to the canvas and he gave up on the canvas. He put the knee down, and that's when he gave up. But I'm going to go ahead in a little bit more detail, kind of talk about the beginning, middle, and end of this fight. The fight didn't go exactly as I predicted it to go, but it kind of did in a way. So first, let me start off by talking about the beginning of the fight. Oleksandr Usyk knew that he had a very awkward, a very defensive first fighter in front of him, banking on counter shots. Now, when you got a fighter in front of you like that, guys, it's not an easy task to start being successful immediately with. And that's not the way that, these Ukrainian boxers operate. They like to take that first couple rounds to kind of figure out their opponent, and then they go to work. They visualize an attack, like Bobby Boucher, but they're not pretending. These guys have to really pay attention to what their opponent's doing and how their opponent is choosing to fight. Now, Thabiso, you guys hear me talk about him in my breakdown and prediction video. It's that Philly shell defense, and he's a short, stockier guy, so when he shells up, he shells up. But what did I tell you would be the difference, or what did I tell you would be the most effective method to breaking that Philly shell? Pity pat, decoy shots to open him up, and using his feet to step around him and create different angles to hit him. Because you don't attack a Philly shell fighter head on. It leaves you open for counters. It gives them the opportunity to slip your shots, and the punches that you throw aren't really gonna land, especially when you're throwing them to the head. But you've seen Oleksandr Usyk, he was starting to mix up his shots once he got his rhythm going and started to break that Philly shell defense. Now, Thabiso, he executes that very well. And he's a pretty good fighter. He gave Oleksandr Usyk some problems there in the beginning, which, was expected. The guy was no pushover, that's for damn sure. And he was also very awkward. Very awkward. He did not fight in a very typical fashion. Random punches, sneaky little counters, and he was so much shorter than Usyk, which for a taller fighter can make things very awkward for him, and vice versa. When a short fighter fights a taller fighter, they have a form of advantage, especially if they can get on the inside of a taller fighter. But Usyk and his footwork was for damn sure not going to let that happen. If anybody was going to get into close range, Usyk was initiating that close range battle. But anyways, back to the fight. So like I said, we seen Usyk start to throw some throwaway shots, kind of just to get Thabiso to open up, and it wasn't easy. It obviously took over half the fight to start really getting him to let loose, to take some chances. And even then, he still wasn't taking very many chances. And I was on Twitter, and I've seen a lot of shit from, I'm not gonna name drop, but some people, basically saying that Oleksandr Usyk wasn't looking very spectacular, and and I get it. It wasn't the most exciting fight, and I totally understand that. But you gotta understand one thing as well. It's not easy to look spectacular against a guy who isn't in there he came to win. But he didn't come to, fight. He came in to play his game. He came in there to implement his game plan. And his game plan was to basically neutralize Usyk's offense. He didn't do anything to neutralize Usyk's footwork. If he would have been able to neutralize Usyk's footwork, then we might have had a different fight. And see, once again, I want to say the Ukrainian fighters, but I'm going to just talk about four in particular, actually. Vasyl Lomachenko being one of them, Oleksandr Usyk being another, Usyk, and then another fighter that you guys might not have heard of yet, named Thabiso Mchunu. All these guys use their feet first. Their feet is the source of their boxing. It all starts there. You can't neutralize their feet, you pretty much can't beat them. I mean, you can't outbox them unless you're a better boxer. There's no puzzle. It's just as simple as that. You need to be a better boxer. You need to be more skilled than them. You need to be able to outthink them. And most importantly, you need to be able to neutralize their feet. They create every offensive opportunity on their feet. They put you in an angle. I started to see that Usyk was starting to move towards Thabiso's left hand a little bit more, maybe to avoid his little short jab, because that was kind of neutralizing Usyk from moving in to get off, his offense, to get his punches off. So I started him to kind of make an adjustment, moving over towards Thabiso's left hand. When you do that, it was putting, even when he got into his shell, when he shelled up, it was still putting Usyk on Thabiso's left hand side, which creates the angle to get off either punch. It puts Thabiso in a straight line for Usyk's punches. That's how he was able to land, some of those decent uppercuts, and which led to, a knockdown. And by the way, guys, I've never seen a guy go down because he didn't know what to do. Did you guys see that? I mean, Usyk tagged him with a couple of good shots, but he was doing the circling around and jumping around him, and trying to turn him, and the dude just took a knee. Like, he got swarmed by Usyk. Like, his whole world, like, just a shadow just covered his entire world there. It was nuts. I've never seen a boxer go down like that. I've only seen it one other time, the Gamaliel Rodriguez fight versus Vasyl Lomachenko, but Lomachenko was tagging him in the process, so I guess it's not the same. But Usyk tagged him, and the dude gets away, starts moving back, and then Usyk starts swarming him with his footwork, overwhelmed the shit out of him, so he took a knee, which is, it's not what he could have done, but it was a kind of a smart way to just kind of get Usyk off of him for a second, Nevertheless, at that point, it was already pretty much a done deal. Once Usyk was able to start breaking his Philly shell defense, and once he was able to start luring, well, I wouldn't even say luring, but once he was starting to overwhelm Thabiso, man, it was a done deal from there. Usyk was just, it took a lot of punches, it took a lot of throwaway punches, but Usyk got the job done. He eventually started to find his openings, and he basically started to overwhelm Thabiso with a lot of movement, but a lot of effective close range movement, a lot of circling around him, a lot of swarming him. But understand something, the Philly shell defense, it's an effective defense, but the problem is like with any defense, there's always an angle to be punched. This is what separates Floyd Mayweather and his Philly shell defense from everybody else's Philly shell defense. And the difference is Floyd Mayweather doesn't just stand there. He knows how to move. And another thing is, if you ever notice that Floyd does the rope-a-dope, or I guess you can call it a rope-a-dope, but he likes to shell up on the ropes. Basically make fighters punch at nothing because they're hitting nothing. They might get a couple of little shots in there, but Miguel Cotto got a little bit of shots. But basically the point is that the reason why he goes to the ropes and shells up like that is because it forces his opponent to stay in front of him. If they can't get an angle on Floyd, they can't hit him. See, that's smart as shit. It's a smart move because he recognized a flaw in his defense. Now, Thabiso, obviously, he's no Floyd, and I don't want to compare the two. I just recognize that they use the same style of guard. And Thabiso, like I said, he's a short and stockier dude. He's able to tuck himself very well. He's very to shell up very tightly. But against a guy who knows that against a guy who knows that he can use his feet to create different punching angles to put Thabiso in straight lines for certain shots, to put him at a disadvantage like that, it says a lot about Usyk. He's smart as all hell, very intelligent fighter. You know, I jumped on the Ukrainian bandwagon a long fucking time ago, guys. And it's not because I'm biased or whatever, man. They just box so beautifully. They box so well, you know. I don't want to compare them to any all-time greats, but in this new generation or this new era of time, now that the Iron Curtain's dropped and these, you know, Eastern European fighters are able to start fighting professionally, like here in America, gain a lot more exposure, I'm starting to notice like this. How do I explain this? I jumped on the bandwagon because I've never seen boxing like this, you know? I mean, I've seen it, you know, like from some American fighters and, you know, from different country fighters, real talents. And I'm not saying that the Ukrainians are the best ever, and, you know what I'm saying, but they just box so beautifully. It's eye-appealing to me, you know what I mean? It's my kind of taste, I guess you could say. I like boxing like that. I like boxing where they're literally utilizing everything that they have. Their head movement, their body movement, their footwork, the footwork especially. That's probably the most eye-appealing thing about them. And their punch selection, the way they use their offense, their punches, they don't commit to every shot. It's a very strategic thing. You know, it's a very intelligent way to basically overwhelm your opponent. It keeps, as long as they can keep their opponent busy while they are sitting here basically on the fly plotting on how to destroy you, then how do you beat that? Unless you're a better boxer. I mean, or, you know, you just happen to catch them in the middle of whatever they're doing, and, you know, I'm not gonna say a lucky punch, but you time them pretty good or something. But other than that, how do you beat them? You gotta be a better thinker. You gotta be a better boxer. You gotta have more tools, or the same tools, but just know how to use them better than they do. You know what I'm saying? It's like the whole Da Vinci Code thing. No one knew how to beat him, yet I'm sure there's guys out there who knew how to beat him. Problem is that they just never had a chance to fight him. You know what I mean? Not to say like Floyd was ducking anyone in particular, but I'm not exactly happy with his career path and his opponent choices. You know, he's fought some good fighters. You know, I'm a Floyd fan, guys. I really am. I do admire his boxing skill. His career on it, you know, looking back, kind of, to me, it could have went a little bit different. I think he could have proved a hell of a lot more. But I mean that with the best of intentions. I don't mean that to bash him. Like I said, I jumped on the Ukrainian bandwagon a long time ago. I think it was because of the World Series of Boxing. I started watching the World Series of Boxing on like YouTube and shit, and I started to discover, you know, I knew the Lomachenko was coming. I knew that Gvozdyk and Usyk were coming. I've been waiting patiently for these guys to come up in the ranks and really show the world that, hey, we took over the Olympics. Now we're ready to attempt to take over the professionals. And the way it's looking, guys, I mean, I know I'm going to probably get a lot of people who disagree with me on it, which is completely cool. I encourage people to disagree. I encourage people to agree, or, you know, but this is just the way that I'm looking at it, guys. I mean, I could be completely wrong, you know. I mean, Lomachenko, he already proved he's not a hype job, so I can't say much about him. That motherfucker is on his way. Gvozdyk, he's super good, you know. We'll see how he does when he gets up in the ranks in the 175-pound division. I can't really say too much. Usyk, in only his 10th professional fight, beat Evander Holyfield's record to capture a world title in the cruiserweight division, and he fought one of the most dangerous fighters of the cruiserweight division in his backyard. Completely outclassed him. Yeah, Usyk, in my opinion, is already proven. Now he just needs to prove himself on American television. There's, you know, that's where it differs. Gvozdyk, I mean, you see what he did to Isaac Chilemba. He was outclassing him. I mean, Chilemba's not a bad boxer either, guys. I mean, he was doing some shit in that fight too. I don't want to make it seem like it was a total domination, but he was you could definitely see the separation in skill between Gvozdyk and Chilemba. And he quit, just like Walters. Just like this Mchunu guy. I mean, the only difference is Mchunu went down and he quit on his knee. Chilemba quit on the stool. He said something about his right arm. Personally, I seen him throwing that right hand a bunch. I don't know if it was really injured. It might have been. So I'm not gonna completely ignore the fact that his arm might have been hurt. It could have been. Walters, he flat out quit. In my opinion, it didn't have shit to do. He basically eliminated his own excuse of the ring rust, because before that it was, I'm gonna chop Loma down. I'm ready to fight him. It might have been a promotional thing, but I hear even more behind the scenes. He was saying that he was gonna come in sharp, and that the layoff didn't really affect him. It might have affected him, but nevertheless, I didn't see that fight playing out much difference to begin with. I was all over the YouTube comment sections talking about that Walters ain't got no inside game. That he ain't got no outside game, and that people were like, he's got a 7-inch reach. He didn't have a 7-inch reach. His wingspan was 7 inches longer, but going arm for arm, he might have had about an inch reach advantage, and he wasn't much taller than Loma either, maybe by about an inch. And they're like, he's the biggest dude at 130. I think Loma came in heavier than him and looked a lot bigger than Walters, looked at least more filled in than Walters did. Walters, he's always looked real, kind of skinny, real muscular, but a little bit on the leaner side. Loma looked like he was jacked. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna until someone gives me some reason to believe otherwise. Loma outboxed the shit out of him to the point that he quit. He embarrassed Walters. That's why he quit. In my eyes, that's how I'm seeing it. Chilemba, he couldn't take any more of a beating. He was getting tagged bad, and by Gvozdyk. And Usyk, a little bit of a struggle at first, but eventually he did the exact same thing. These Ukrainian boxers are starting to really make themselves noticeable. They're making fighters quit. I know Chilemba, like I said, he's a good ass boxer, and he's a top 10 ranked boxer in my opinion. No fighter has beat Chilemba that decisive. Not that decisive, but dominated him like Gvozdyk did. Kovalev, he knocked him down, and Kovalev's a good boxer, and he did good work against Chilemba, but Chilemba gave him problems. Gvozdyk, Chilemba, you can see that there's awkwardness there, so he's gonna get off. He's skilled. He's gonna be able to get some things done too, but Gvozdyk didn't let any of that affect anything he was doing. He pressed, and his game plan kept working. He did the exact same thing that Loma did to Walters. Not the exact same thing. You gotta understand, he is a different level fighter. It's just, he's a little bit, he's a smaller guy too, so he's a lot quicker. He's able to pull off a lot of shit. And from my understanding, he's in my opinion, he's got a little bit more tools that he's able to, he's got more of how do you say it? You could tell he's mastered everything that he does. Gvozdyk and Usyk still look like they're not amateurs or anything to what they do. They know what they're doing. It's just Loma's a little bit more flashier when he does it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's starting to become like a thing. They're a problem. They're a problem in my eyes. They are a problem in my eyes. You might say they're hype jobs. I know the Loma got a lot of the hype job shit. Usyk, I've never heard anybody really badmouth Usyk. I'm sure after this fight, they're gonna probably start. There's gonna be some of those more detractor type fans, fuck every fighter that isn't my favorite fighter type of fans, and then there's gonna be maybe some Gvozdyk detractors or something. I'm sure there's always gonna be people bad mouthing fighters, but that's no surprise, guys, so it's not really a huge deal. But in my opinion, the way I'm viewing boxing, these guys at the moment are my favorite guys to watch. Gvozdyk, Loma, and Usyk, just because, like I said, that style of boxing is very appealing to me. That's all it really boils down to. They're not I don't have any emotional connection to them, what I'm saying? If they lose, they lose, I remember when Loma lost to Salido, I was disappointed, but I was like, well shit, man, he's a good ass boxer. It's not, this fight ain't gonna set him back at all. If Gvozdyk or Oleksandr Usyk lose, that's not gonna set them back either. Maybe they need to lose, because apparently losing it to making a Ukrainian boxer lose apparently makes them better, because then you see after Loma lost to Salido, then everything started to pour out against his opponents. He started letting go everything, and he became more flashier doing it. All the tools came out. He said, you know what, fuck it, I'm not holding back. Now I'm not gonna let any fighter even get near beating me, even let a fight go the distance if he can help it. So losing, these guys, they know winning very well, but I'm sure they know how to lose too. You know, it's the discipline. You know, these guys are boxers. They don't, and they're very mentally, they're very strong mentally, it seems to me. So, but man, I ran it super hard. I don't know. I was thinking about, I didn't get much sleep last night. I was thinking about this shit last night too. I for some reason I just went binge watching like all their fucking fights, and yeah, I started just to kind of prove to myself that, you know, I'm not just hyping these dudes up for no reason. I wanted to go back and actually see that there is a reason why I like these fighters. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why I think highly of these fighters. So yeah, I was up till like 8 in the morning watching these dudes, like every fight I could watch. World Series of Boxing, amateur, professional, you name it, you know. Whatever I could find from them, I watched it. So, you know, like I said, these guys are a problem, man. And I want to go further into detail about the way that they box, you know, like the actual boxing part, but I'll save that for another video for anybody who's interested, really. I mean, if you're not a fan of these guys, you know, that's not a problem. That's completely cool. I completely understand. If you are a fan of these guys, then yeah, let me know. I will make a video trying to break down, you know, the tools, you know what I'm saying? Trying to break down exactly how they fight. And I have a good idea about what I would like to say, because there's a lot of things that I noticed, you know, and it's not just things that only Ukrainian boxers can do. It's things that any boxer can do. Their whole style is just built around the tools. You know what I'm saying? The tools are their style. So yeah, maybe I'll go and, you know, maybe I'll do one of those sometime in the future. Maybe if, you know, at the end of the year when boxing kind of starts to die down and videos are not really, you know, there's not a lot to talk about, so make some shit up, you know what I mean? But man, totally lost control on the time. I didn't even expect to make such a long fucking video, but hey, if you guys watched it all the way through, I appreciate it, man. I really do. I want to thank all my viewers in advance for watching. I hit my first 500 view video yesterday. I was actually pretty proud of that, you know, especially for me being a beginner. You know, I would like to encourage everybody to subscribe to my channel. I'm committed to doing this, guys. You know, follow me. I ain't gonna let you down, you know. And like I said, my new slogan, man, introduce somebody to boxing. There's never, you know, there's never enough fans in the sport, you know, for such a great sport like boxing, you know. So make sure, you know, you get your homies on board. You know what I'm saying? Show your girlfriend, get her. I know my girlfriend isn't the biggest fan of boxing, but I make her ass watch it anyway. So yeah, you know, let's introduce some new people to boxing. But that's all I got for you guys for this one, man. I got a couple more videos I'm doing today. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.